Welcome back to Joe's Stunner Boxing. Let's ask ourselves a question. It's an obvious question this weekend, what with everything that's gone on, and that is, should Paddy Donovan have been disqualified against Lewis Crocker? Now, of course, disqualification is quite a rare thing in boxing. You've really got to go something to get disqualified or do something absolutely blatant. And there are people that will say that despite winning just about every round against Crocker, Donovan's punch after the bell had gone for the 8th round, which was a full-blooded punch, at least a second after the bell had gone, that warrants an instant disqualification. I would agree with that. There is an alternative, which is that you can take 2 points off Donovan and give Crocker 5 minutes to recover. But I don't think the referee is out of order for disqualifying any fighter that lands a full-blooded punch that knocks a guy flat at least a second after the bell. I don't think you can have a go at the referee for that. My criticism of the referee, which was Marcus McDonald last night, was that the 2 points he took off Donovan for head use, I thought were harsh, because to me, it looked like Crocker he was leaning, he had a very, very high guard. He was leaning forward, almost leaning over the front foot at times and walking forward. And that would mean that in order for there to not be some sort of connection between the heads at some point, Donovan would have to have moved backwards. Now, Donovan wasn't going to move backwards. He doesn't have to move backwards. He can stand there. But of course, this does mean that you've got that image of, the two rams locking horns. To me, that wasn't all Donovan's fault. And I thought taking 2 points off him was harsh. When the referee spoke to him the first time, I thought, because the referee gave him like a final warning after only a few rounds. And I'm thinking, that's very, very harsh. So I would criticise that element of Marcus McDonald's refereeing. Is it possible that McDonald said, okay, I've taken 2 points off you for headbutting. You're not behaving yourself. You've landed a punch blatantly after the bell. You're out. It's possible he did that. And again, he's not breaking any rules. He wouldn't be completely out of order for doing that. Now, there is another thing that has to be mentioned, and that is that the raucous crowd, that Belfast crowd that were absolutely fantastic. I mean, brilliant fans, very much on the side of Crocker, who's a Belfast lad. They made that arena, it was the SSE arena, an absolute cauldron of noise, of activity, of excitement. Brilliant fans, really brilliant. I mean, I was watching it, on, DAZN. I watched it on DAZN, and I was wishing I was there. I've never been to the SSE arena. I've never been to Belfast, I don't think. Might have done, but no, I don't think so. And when you've got that amount of noise, that amount of activity, yes, when you're in the ring, I mean, if you've ever been in the ring and you know that you kind of block out everything else once the fight starts because you should be totally concentrated on what's in front of you. It is possible that the noise of the crowd drowned out both the clapper, the 10-second clapper, and the bell. It's possible, in which case it was an honest mistake on Donovan's behalf. Donovan, of course, had just floored Crocker and was looking to finish him, was going in quick. That was probably tunnel vision, and he wasn't listening. And with the cacophony of noise, which is kind of like a sheet of white noise after a while when you're in there, the bell probably may have gotten lost in the overall sort of, that sort of whirling, swirling pool of noise. It's possible that happened and that he didn't realise. But Barry Jones made an I think it was Sonny Edwards, I think, made an interesting point, and that was as soon as Crocker landed the big right hand, as soon as Donovan landed the big right hand and Crocker hit the floor, Donovan turned away, and Sonny said he walked back to his corner knowing that the round was over. I don't think that's accurate, because if you watch it back, Donovan actually he did look to walk back to his corner. Sonny's right about that. But then he turned around and walked to a neutral corner, thinking that's a knockdown. So I need to go to a neutral corner. And then the referee came over, talked to him, disqualified him. And he went, ballistic. He was like, oh, well, he was distraught, understandably so, So there's that to factor in. Now, of course, all of this happens in real time, and it's extremely difficult to manage it, especially in that environment, sensibly. So I wouldn't be absolutely harsh on Marcus McDonald. I don't think he had a particularly great night last night, but he has been over the decades, not just the years, but the decades, he's been a pretty consistent referee, and they are, of course, human. That begs the question, should there be some sort of way of looking at what happened after the fight with a view to possibly changing the result? That's going to be very difficult to do because, number one, supposedly the referee's decision is final, unless he really does completely break a solid rule. I don't know. If you can throw the towel in and the referee doesn't have to accept it, he can let the fight carry on. He's got that much power, or she's got that much power. But is it possible to maybe go to, in this case, it would be the British Boxing Board of Control. This was in Northern Ireland, so that comes under their auspices. And they could look at things and say, okay, there is a grey area here, and this is not really fair on Donovan. If that's what they decide, they can interview McDonald and, whoever else they need to interview and say that we're going to call this a no contest or an immediate rematch or something like that. Now, what that would do, in a sense, I don't think this would happen. I think it's unlikely this would happen, but it is feasible, is that the injured party, in this case it would be Crocker, would say, him and his team would say, well, that's unfair. You've taken a win off me, a legitimate win. I was fouled. The referee made a decision, which is the buck stops with him. Why are you doing that? You've cost me a win, and with it, you've cost me money because I could have moved on. This was an IBF eliminator. I could have had a world title fight. So you're actually taking money out of my pocket. That's not fair. And that could lead to legal action. Again, I'm not saying it would, because you've got to have money to take legal action. That's the irony of it. If you're the little man, it's very difficult to find the money to get decent lawyers to fight your cause, especially if it's a cause that you're not necessarily going to win, if it's not clear cut. So I don't know. This is a very awkward area. Very awkward area. I think the best option is, as Eddie Hearn, the promoter, has said, let's have a rematch. He promotes both guys, both Crocker and Donovan. And when interviewed, he was sort of trying not to sit on the fence, but it's inevitable that he was going to sit on the fence because what can you do? You're kind of stuck in the middle, aren't you? But he said, look, I think there should be a rematch rather than Crocker, who has now got this IBF welterweight mandatory for Boots Ennis, no less. Does anyone here think Crocker's going to beat Boots Ennis? I don't think so. But he could sit on that mandatory, or he could say, okay, let's have a rematch with Crocker. But again, I think we're down with Donovan, but I think we're down to money here. They'll have to offer him a lot of money not to sit on that mandatory, because with a world title challenge, not only comes a big chance to win a world title and go in the record books and build your legacy, but also there's a big fat paycheck with it as a mandatory. Obviously it depends. If it went to purse bids, it's feasible that a rematch, because of the controversy and the fact that one's from Northern Ireland, one's from Ireland, there's a rivalry going on there. It's possible that there could be more money in the rematch than the world title fight. It's just a question of, does Crocker value the belt and the money that can come with it if he was to win it? The big purses. Does he regard that as more important than having the large fast money for a rematch? I hope there is a rematch. I'd like to see a rematch. I think this incident warrants it. But what do you think? What do you think? Leave your comments below and let me know what your opinions are. And I'll have a read of them. So, yeah, controversy in Belfast. Well, Wouldn't be boxing without a bit of controversy, would it? Let's be honest. Anyway, comments below. Please subscribe to the channel if you're new and hit the like button. I always appreciate you reading, or you watching these videos, and I always read your comments. And yeah, I'll reply to as many as I can. Thank you very much. Spread the word about Joe Stunner Boxing. Bye for now.